Lovers Quarrel. It's a long, sustained quarrel.
What's going on, world?
Hey everybody,
It's your guy, TJ, Mr. New Cool.
and it's your girl Dani, your wonderfully weepy wombat.
If we were playing that, what's that thing? That game we play,
You have to narrow that down.
where if you get like 3 W's, it's 3 points.
Scrapple?
No.
Oh,
Trying to play me.
uh,
The joint, is not Pictionary. We play at your fucking...
categories.
Yeah, you know what the fuck I'm talking about.
No, I didn't.
Listen, everybody, welcome to another episode of Lovers Quarrel. If this is your first time listening, welcome. If it's your second time listening, welcome back. If it's your third time, your family, you're a lover. My wife don't like to call you a lover, but you're a lover. I mean, it's called Lovers Quarrel, so lover just makes sense. But welcome back.
Yes,
We took off last... Well, I took off last week.
and that's okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I've said it before in the episode, like 97% of the time, if we're not recording, it's because of Dani. That's when it's 3% hit. As we all know, the great, the legendary, most amazing basketball player ever, Kobe Bryant, passed away. And I couldn't record. So I didn't want to record. I didn't want to do anything. And, you know, but we're back now. And, you know, it's still like surreal. That would be the right term, right?
Correct.
I think it's forever going to be hard for me. I'm always going to remember where I was January 26th. And, you know, it's like a bad dream. But you kind of get to see like how great of a person he was by the outpouring love that he's received. We know in basketball he was revered, loved, and idolized.
Respected.
But, you know, when people pass away, you get to see how people truly feel about you. And I think we got to see that people, like everybody loved Kobe or loved something about Kobe, or even there was people who hated Kobe, shitted on his name, but when he passed away, they were sad. They, you know, apologized and, you know, so yeah. Sorry for that pause.
No, it's okay. Like it's there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of feelings that people have had since last Sunday, and I feel as though it's natural. Everybody's kind of in this, like, it kind of felt like you were in like suspended reality. You were like, absolutely not. Like, there's no way that this could be real or accurate. And I think people were taken aback and surprised at how deeply they felt for someone that they did not know personally.
That's fair. You know, he also lost his daughter. That's devastating as well. And there were
7 other people.
Yep. I don't want to forget them. Even though I hate that. I hate that people project how they feel onto others. Like, people were outpouring Kobe and Gianna, and people were like, "But what about the other families?" And it's not about no one cares about the other families, but we knew Kobe. Does that make sense?
Yes.
We knew Kobe and we knew Gigi. We didn't know the other family, so it's a little bit different. Yes, it's all sad, but it's a little bit different. Now, if that helicopter would have had Kobe and his family, if Rick Fox was on there, like they were saying, if there were like a whole bunch of notable people in there, then I also feel like everybody would have more of a. It would be even worse because it's like we know these people, but I don't think that no one is saying forget that the other families and the other people at all. But I just hate seeing people like and the other family. Like, if you want to say RIP to them, just say it. You don't have to try to make it seem like it's only about Kobe and his daughter, because it's not. But that's just who we knew, or that we were privy to. But it's just very sad, and it definitely makes you just remember, not every day is promised. So you should definitely try to live it to the fullest that you can. Try not to hold on to grudges and stuff like that. Would be the major things I would say. Now, if you don't have anybody that you have grudges with, that if you passed away, you wouldn't care if you never amended it, then that's fair. But I just think that life is too short to be angry, to be holding grudges, to anything negative. We should just purge. Yeah. And it's hard. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. It's going to take time, but again, to think, Kobe Bryant's been doing that for years. Mm-hmm. Riding in a helicopter was like riding a bike. Mm-hmm. So I don't think anybody would have ever thought that would have happened, but it did. So
yeah, and I've had a lot of feelings and emotions because, I posted about it when it first happened. Was that it's my humanity as a person, and then I think also specifically as a wife and a mother that made it so easy for me to mourn people I did not know personally, because I've watched, so from my perspective, I've watched Kobe, pretty much we were kids when he got drafted, and we grew up watching him in the league. And obviously I'm not the biggest sports aficionado or anything like that, but once I met you especially, it's been 15 going on 16 years of The Lake Show, Kobe, Black Mamba, the Mamba mentality, all of these things that, I think back when they were playing the Celtics in the NBA finals and you and Eric are we're in the apartment, and I'm just I don't know what's gonna happen. I said, cause you got this nigga from Boston and he rooting for the Celtics. I'm and this is the biggest Laker fan I know. So I'm I thought back on those moments, and when you texted me about what happened, it legit took the wind, the breath out of my body, because I thought about obviously the horror of the accident and the suddenness and the tragedy of it all, and then I also thought about you and how and how you this is one of your idols, this is one of your icons, and now they're gone. And sometimes when I would be hitting TJ hypothetical questions, and I'm who would you rather sit down and have dinner with, Drake or Kobe? Because I'm these are two people that I know that TJ is very involved with, they're on a pedestal as far as his taste in music and his athletic taste. And I was legit really, really concerned about you. And then when the information starts to come out about who's on the plane and who's not on the plane, on the helicopter, it really sent me into kind of a tailspin, because I am a mom, I am a wife, and you and Tatum are my whole world. And I can't front the next morning when I had to get up and go to work, and TJ takes Tatum to school, and I think about what would happen if, God forbid, something happened and then I lost both of you in one fell swoop, and I'm you have to take me with you, because I don't know what to do. So I truly identified and felt such anguish and pain for Vanessa Bryant, and I prayed for her and their loved ones and her children, because they've had this massive hole put into the landscape of their family makeup, and there's no one that can ever fill those voids. And thinking about one of the things I prayed for is that the fact that she does have to be a mom to these other girls is let that be a motivating force for her to keep going, because to lose your spouse and a child at the same time in such a sudden manner is just unthinkable. And I definitely shed my fair share of tears with this whole since everything happened, between watching the tributes and then watching like people that didn't know him find out, like, you know, watching the basketball players find out on the court side, and then like watching people have to, you know, keep going even though somebody that they loved and cared for deeply is gone, it's just unfathomable. And what I will say is, you know, one of the hardest things also to see was watching black men specifically really, really, really take this hard. And what I do hope and pray for is, I hope and pray for that this is like an opportunity for black men especially to be okay expressing their feelings, to express their anguish and their pain and their sadness and their frustration unapologetically, and in a manner that demonstrates that like black men grieve, they cry, they get sad, they can be hurt too, because that's, you know, that's a narrative that's not often shared with about our men. And I really hope that this isn't, you know, even though that it was sudden and tragic, I do hope that this opens a door of sorts to allow for black men to be able to express their emotions in a healthy manner, because Kobe meant so much to so many people.
Well, I think that comes back to kind of us as a culture. The new generation needs to make it okay for your child to cry, especially if they're a minority male. But it's okay. Like I tell Dani's a crier when she's angry, and she hates it because she thinks it means weakness. You can cry. Shit, when Tatum cry, I always tell her, you can cry, but have a reason why you're crying, and let's get through it, you know? And if I had a son, I would be okay with him crying. Doesn't mean that you're weak. It means that you're angry and you are letting it out. You know what I mean? That's one thing that I would say that my parents allowed. They've always allowed me to express myself. So shout out to them for being ahead of the curve. My father has never told me, like, stop crying, you need to be a man, or, you know what I mean? I never had those things, so it was never anything that I was afraid to do. I wasn't afraid to ask questions because my father always taught me, like, you know, be confident in who you are. Fuck everybody else, pretty much. So, yeah, I may ask the question and people may laugh and be like, why are you asking this simple question? I'm asking because I want to make sure that I understand. Or, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of the stuff that black males go through or are afraid, like fitting in and doing stuff to be cool, I never worried about that because I was always told to be like be confident, be my own man. And it helped me be who I am today. Like, so I would do the same for my children, but I just think we have to allow people to express their feelings the way to express their feelings the way that they express it without judgment. Because if someone got to cry because that's how they deal with stuff, that shouldn't be something that's funny or looked at as a bad trait.
I guess then now the question becomes, though, is like, where do we go from here? Because, you know, we're at the time of this recording, like, we haven't heard anything about any type of like funeral arrangements or anything like that, and not that that's any of our business, because if we didn't hear a thing about what was going on as far as final arrangements for them, that would be perfectly fine because it's not our business. But
I think go ahead, sorry.
What I was saying though is this, that I feel like this is the time where whenever you suffer a loss, you're like in limbo and you're just kind of holding your breath because you're living in the days following somebody being taken from you, but you still haven't had the finalization, like you haven't had the final goodbye, you haven't had the funeral or the burial or whatever, you know, the cremation, whatever you have done. And so it's like you're kind of it's that suspended reality again. And what I always hate or see what happens is that after that initial like burial, whatever happens, and then everybody else kind of goes back to resuming life as they know it. But now the people that are most impacted by this are left trying to have to adjust to a new reality, with it being a little less full than what it was beforehand. So, ultimately, continue thoughts and prayers with the entire Bryant family.
And just to answer your question real quick, I think we go from here is just to continue living. We have a life. I would say live the way Kobe did. Everything was serious. See, what I loved about Kobe the most was just how he planned. Mm-hmm. Everything was strategic. Mm-hmm. It was the mental was out of this world. No matter what, Kobe felt like he was the best. Kobe knew he was the best, and he tried to be the best in everything that he did. A parent, coaching, his books, like everything he did was very like
about being excellent.
Yeah. Everything was about structure and doing it the right way, learning how to do it and
not making excuses.
Yeah, not making excuses, and he lived whatever he did. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think we as people have to do. We need to live our lives to the fullest and fully immerse ourselves in whatever we're doing. If you're a teacher, be the best teacher that you could possibly be. If you're a manager, try to be the best manager. A father, a husband, a child. Just try to be the best in your life.
I agree.
Take every day, one day at a time, but just try to be the best is how I would try to move forward.
Honor his legacy. I feel like there's so much more that could be said, but I think we would be talking all episode about it.
We would. But I kind of needed this therapy. Me and you never really talked.
No, yeah, we talked a little bit, but I think sometimes.
But I'm saying we didn't talk like this.
Yeah.
So this was good to kind of get out. So let's get on this elevator.
Okay. Would you like to go first? Would you like me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay. I am going up.
Okay.
In a nutshell, it is February, which means it is Black History Month. And so now, this is the time of year where we do celebrate Black Excellence 365, but February is the month where you kick it up a notch and you celebrate Black excellence and Black history and Black futures and all the people that make it possible in the month of February, and you just do Black ass things, and you love yourself more, and you appreciate yourself more for everything that you have that is Black. And I am excited because as a teacher, I love the opportunity, and even though I try to do it throughout the year, but especially in February, to highlight the achievements of Black people in STEM, of the importance of the Black college experience, the importance of fraternities and sororities. I just try any conversation that comes up or whatever, I try to have those conversations in that narrative with them, so that hopefully my students and everybody else can take away from something that I've done, that to be Black is to be beautiful, to be Black is to be excellent. So I'm excited because, I am unapologetically Black, even though TJ is going to try to say something about me not being 100% Black or something like that.
I used to do that, but I've stopped. So
I appreciate that.
I don't want to.
But I'm just excited. And I am. January was a very long month, and now that we are in February, I am excited for the year to only get better. And February is a great way to kick it off by celebrating all that our Blackness has to offer. And that is my elevator talk.
So I'll go out with you.
Okay.
Because who wants to be down after that? So I'm in my busy season at work.
Yes.
And I'm going up because I always wanted more responsibility, and this is what I asked for, and
for things not to be monotonous.
Yes. And now I have something that is taking me out of this world.
Wish granted.
And while it's different, it's something that I'm like happy for, because it's like, okay, I'm progressing. I do know that Monday I didn't get home until midnight.
Yes, me and Tatum were knocked.
So I worked what would that be? 12-hour shift?
Yeah.
Yeah, so. But I'm not going to be like my wife. I'm not tired. And that brings us to my second part of why my elevator is up. Because I can work long hours and not be home all day, still come home and still be a functioning adult without being tired.
Is that like a dig?
That's not a dig. You've always said that I need, like, I don't understand. So now I do understand.
Okay. Sure.
So, are you using my word?
I am. Whatever you say.
You're beautiful, by the way.
Oh,
Let me tell y'all about my wife, man.
Oh.
She's been glowing. No, she's not pregnant. Yeah, she's just been looking fire lately.
oh, thank you.
You know?
Is it just because my hair's straight, or is it because...
No.
Okay.
You just been looking like, you know, like you put effort into your outfits. Like,
Got it. I got told a couple of my students told me I look pretty today.
exactly. See, even the students know.
Well, every now and then I'll put a little oomph into my workwear, but when you're breaking up fights and things like that, sometimes you got to be more on the ready. But those kids were suspended, so I didn't have to worry about that today. Well, with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and jump into our relationship tip for this week. Shall I kick things off, my good sir?
You can.
So my relationship tip for this week, which I will of course elaborate on, is to dance like no one's watching. And what I mean by that is, in relationships, and all types of ships, of course, you sometimes purposely or inadvertently find yourself comparing your relationship to other relationships. And there are things that, comparison is only natural, it's only human, but like the saying goes, comparison is the thief of joy. And with that being said, when you have those moments with your loved ones where it's just you two and you're actually having an opportunity to enjoy each other's company, literally, figuratively, dance like no one is watching. Don't worry about, let the rest of the world fall away. It'll all be there when you get back. But sometimes take you and your loved one and put yourself in a bubble and don't leave it, and enjoy your time with that person in that bubble, because it's not always guaranteed, it's not always promised, sometimes it's fleeting because you don't have a lot of time or you don't have a lot of energy. So when you do get those opportunities to dance like no one's watching, or to be by yourself with this particular person, then just capitalize on it, because those moments are sometimes few and far between, especially as we get older. So you need to appreciate them and capitalize on them as often as you can possibly do. So that is my tip of the week.
Beautiful.
Thank you. And what about you, my good sir? I keep calling you that, but you are my good sir.
Have so many different thoughts. My tips are always so good, and it's just like, which tip do I bring out? Do I bring the A, the B?
Sure.
You know what I mean? How do I pitch it? Feel me?
Got it.
I'm stalling right now because I'm just trying to let it come to my mind. But
Exactly.
So my tip is, when you're in a relationship, you need to put limits on your phone use. Boom.
Okay.
And that's straight from my wife. I love her. Let me tell y'all. So I got home midnight. Right. I get in the bedroom. our dog threw up on our bed, so then we had to change the sheets.
Mm-hmm.
So now Dani's up, and guess what she does? Grabs her phone, and now she's on her phone for like an hour and a half, just surfing.
I couldn't sleep, and I was checking on her.
We could have had a conversation. We could have conversed.
What were you doing at the time?
I was doing the same thing.
Okay.
But I was following your lead.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, convenient.
So,
Real convenient.
for those in a relationship, put your phone down or put limits. She didn't see me all day. She didn't even say, "Hey, baby," with her stink breath. None of that. I don't say morning breath, but it wasn't technically morning. But you already know the breath was marinating that morning breathness.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't do any of that. She just hopped on her phone, just scrolling. So that's my relationship tip.
Wise words have never been spoken.
You're so silly.
I am. Let me knock out this word. Try to stop me. I'm feeling ambitious.
Hopefully you never heard it before.
Only one way to find out.
Don't be shady. So my word of the week is scurrilous. Did I pronounce it right? I think I did.
I think you did.
Scurrilous. If something is scurrilous, it's meant to offend. Scurrilous rumors can give you a bad reputation, and scurrilous stories sell tabloid magazines. Scurrilous.
Scurrilous. Scurrilous. Scurrilous.
Let's make sure it's the right pronunciation. I don't want her to be like, "I got it wrong because you pronounced it wrong."
Okay.
Scurrilous.
Scurrilous. SCU R RILOUS.
You spelled it right.
Hey! Ow. Go Dani. Go Dani.
Congratulations, Dani.
Thank you.
Next week I'm going to say spell. Exactly. And on that note, we're going to take a break. You're going to hear a message from our sponsor, Gaines Sports Gear. And then we'll come back and continue the show.
Exactly. Keep the party going.
Hey friend, it's time for you to ditch those workout gloves and get the grip and wrist support you deserve. What do you suggest? You need to get the Gaines Load and Lock grips by Gaines Sports Gear. They are more durable than gloves, have a non-slip grip pad that provides grip support and added wrist support unlike your traditional workout gloves, and will protect your hands from calluses. Do they come in different colors? Not only do they come in different colors, but they are available for men and women. Do yourself a favor, go to GainesSportsGear.com. And remember, a better grip equals a better lift. Embrace the process.
And you too can embrace the process by using our code LOVERS10 at Gaines, GAINZ, sportsgear.com. And now, back to the...
All right. And we're back. And I want to throw it off to TJ because he has our love note of sorts for this week's episode. So go ahead and take it away.
So in light of Kobe Bryant's passing, did I phrase that right?
Yes.
Because I didn't want to say death.
Well, I mean, it's the same, but yeah.
Yeah, but it sounds... So,
A little less harsh.
there you go.
Got it. I'm with you.
Our friend, our family, Rock, had a question for Dani. So I figured instead of us doing
Hi, Rock.
our love letter based off of what was sent, we would use his question for Dani because it's in regards to Kobe Bryant. Recently, Gayle King had an interview with Lisa Leslie, and she brought up Kobe Bryant past allegations. And unless you're living under a rock, there was a lot of uproar. But Rock question for Dani because, and it's funny to me, but yo, TJ, curious because Dani's a black feminist. What's her thought? What her thought is on Gayle talking about Kobe.
Okay.
So you can go first, and then I'm gonna go.
So what are my thoughts on Gayle King's interview of Lisa Leslie and her questions regarding Kobe Bryant's past sexual assault allegations? So in full transparency, I'm of two minds with it. I feel as though, so on one side of things, I could feel how people would perceive it as in poor taste to ask that type of question, to ask that type of question, period, to ask that type of question of someone who was so, in which I didn't realize, but of course, like thinking back on it, it would make sense that Lisa Leslie and Kobe Bryant were at the very least like professional acquaintances because they both played professional basketball, they both played in LA, they both played the Olympics, but
they're
They're
legends.
LA legends.
I'm gonna say because
Yeah.
Sparks, Lakers.
Of course, yeah. So that I could see how it would be in poor taste perceived as in poor taste for Gayle to ask that question, period, and to ask that question of Lisa Leslie, especially because Kobe's death is still so very like fresh and raw in the hearts and minds of millions of people all over the world, and I can understand why Lisa Leslie's response, which I thought was, for all things considered, was a pretty valid response. I know some people are like, you get the questions or the line of questioning a lot of times ahead of time before you go into these types of interviews. So it wasn't like she likely was not necessarily unprepared to answer that question. And I could, sort of get with why she said, like, that's not the person that she saw. And, why are people bringing this up now? And they had, because when did that happen? Like in 2004? So it was like 15, 16 years to continually talk about it or, and include it in the conversation with him.
2003.
Okay, so you're talking 17 years between when everything went down.
But that's when the case
started. So
yeah.
Early 2000s, basically over 15, 16 years ago. So I can understand why people in general are upset or like a little offended by the line of questioning, because when people are dealing with loss, the last thing they want to hear is about the bad things about the person that they're grieving, and I'm gonna say bad. I don't want to make like a sweeping statement, but like the low points of a person's life, right? So I get that, and I get the uncomfortability with it. I get people being frustrated about it, but so I can respect that feeling, right? On the other side. My second mind about it is that people are complex, flawed individuals, even the best of us. And when you pass away, especially when you pass away suddenly, what that tends to call up is people start to revisit all of your life, like all of your, public life anyway. Good, bad, and indifferent. So I look at it like that Gayle King was probably, I'm choosing to think that she was trying to do her journalistic duty, which was like because I didn't see the whole interview. I only saw the snippet of the part where she was asking about the allegations. So if I had watched the whole interview, and if the whole interview had a list of comprehensive questions about Kobe, period, and this was one of those questions, then I also feel like from the journalistic perspective that you would be remiss if you didn't at least revisit that time, because it was such a major point. Now, I'm not saying like, and the thing about journalism is that sometimes you don't get to ask just the questions that people want to hear. You have to ask the difficult questions too, and I I feel as though while people, and I know that there's a lot of also like mixed feelings about Gayle King and Oprah Winfrey because of like it feels like they're trying to, like, people are making the argument that they're trying to tear down black men, and that
They are.
That they are not supportive, but and that you're.
Can you move your phone, please?
Oh, I didn't know it was. Okay, sorry. So I feel as though if people have that mind, but ultimately, the only thing I don't agree with is, like, I don't agree with people like death threats and like calling her like out of her name and like tearing, like.
I'm okay with it.
Okay. So I'm not okay with that because
Okay.
my thing
That's
is
fair.
my thing is like, you can be upset. You can be upset with the line of questioning. You could be upset with her for asking it. You could say it's in poor taste. You could say that's not what's important right now. But to threaten somebody's life, to calling them all types of like bitches and everything else like that, to try and like loop in like Bill Cosby in defense of him, and as far as
what Snoop was saying, or
yeah, like that, to me that's
I feel like you're
uncalled
going
for.
off of what we're talking about this topic.
But these are the two sides I'm saying, which is like, I can see why people feel like it's in poor taste, but I also could understand why, from a journalistic perspective, why the question would be asked, because you have to.
So speaking of journalistic, why apologize?
Well, what did she apologize for? Upsetting people, right?
She said that if people would have seen the clip that was released, she would be upset too. So
Okay.
my thing is,
So maybe she felt like it was like
as a journalist,
in a vacuum.
as a journalist, you're gonna do your job to your best ability, and you're not gonna apologize if you felt that way.
You're not going to apologize for it.
Okay, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't. When Charlamagne the God interviewed, he interviewed Gucci Mane.
Okay.
And Gucci Mane started talking about Angela Yee and DJ Envy. Mm-hmm. He didn't apologize for that. He never once apologized to his co-host for allowing that to be aired, for allowing that. What I'm trying to say is that, is there not such, like, the journalistic integrity? If you know that your stuff is correct, why apologize for it?
Because I think that is, well, I think it's a couple of things, right? So if you want to bring in the black feminist side of things, right? I think
I didn't bring it up. Rock did, but go ahead.
To bring it back to the question that was originally asked of us, or of me, is on one side, it's like, even if you stand in what you did, you can, if you've upset a massive amount of people, you can still apologize for upsetting people, or saying saying I can understand why you're upset, even if you feel like you did your due diligence and you did your job correctly. You can still say that. And number two,
so when I say stuff like that to you,
I'll say as women, and I won't even just say as black women, but as women, oftentimes we are normalized and socialized to, if we offend others, if we upset, even if we felt like we weren't wrong, or we felt like we were just doing our job, we have been socialized as a culture of women to apologize for making people feel another way. Men are socialized to stand in their truth and be like, fuck it, I'm not apologizing, this, that, and the other, and that's it. And
so your parents taught you to apologize if
I didn't. So I didn't.
I'm all right. You said
women,
black women, or women of color.
Women.
I'm asking, how were you raised?
I was raised to speak my truth and to believe it, but to also talk to people in a way that to not go out of my way to be offensive or hurtful towards people as well. When I'm saying socialized, I'm not just talking about your mother and father and what you're saying. I'm saying about society.
I understand what you're saying.
So
I'm asking how your parents were. I'm asking how your parents raised you. That's all I ask. It's not an attack. I'm asking because
I'm not taking it. I'm trying to clarify.
I'm going to raise Tatum that if you believe something, stick to what you believe in. I don't care who you offend.
Okay, but
that's all I'm asking.
But we have both apologized to people for offending them, even if we believed in what we said. You've apologized for offending someone, even if you still believe what you said, even if you believed it in the moment. So there's nothing. There is.
Yeah, I apologize to people I know personally. I'm not apologize if I made a statement on Twitter or we interviewed somebody and somebody felt like whatever. I'm not apologizing for that. I'm not going to apologize to how other people interpreted something.
So what do you believe? You believe that apology, her mea culpa, was like an admission that she was wrong for asking the question?
Yeah. It's damage control, 100%. My thing is, as a journalist, if you said whatever and you believe that was important questions to ask, you should have stuck to your guns, period. And I mean,
so what did she say in her?
From what I remember, it was like she felt, I mean, I can't remember. She did say that the interview comprised of multiple questions and everything else. I understand that.
That's all interviews do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, the way I feel about it is just like these two powerful black women are doing things that are attacking us. And I do feel like we as people, we attack ourselves. Well, we as black people attack ourselves the most. Mm-hmm. The most. We are so critical of ourselves.
Okay.
We use ourselves to make like we joke on ourselves, or we put ourselves down to make ourselves feel better. And to me, I've always said it. I never cared about Oprah. Oprah doesn't care about me. Okay. I'm not her demographic.
Not really, no.
It's not really. It's no. I am not her demographic.
Okay.
If it was between me and a 40-year-old white woman, Oprah's going to be nicer to the 40-year-old white woman, I feel. I don't feel Oprah cares about black people. And that's just my opinion.
Okay, that's your opinion.
I don't care how anyone else feels.
Mm-hmm. You're not going to apologize for it.
I'm definitely not going to apologize for it.
Again, I don't think you should. I think that
when it came out that she didn't want to speak to hip hop people and stuff like that, like, to me, that always showed me who you truly were. Because as whoever you are, if you didn't like hip hop people, you should have spoken with them to be able to express that you don't like it or whatever, to try to get better understanding. The only reason why she sat down with Jay-Z, I felt like, was because now Jay-Z was like, he wasn't the rapper no more. He was the mogul. He was bigger than rap. So now it's okay for me to have conversations, and it looks cool now because I got the best person in the game, and I got to interview him.
I think that there's definitely an argument for people such as Oprah and Gayle being out of touch throughout the course of their like careers. I'll speak more specifically towards Oprah since she had like the talk show, and being out of touch and having those sentiments towards like the hip hop community, and because all they are seeing or hearing or what they were taking from it was like misogyny and negative stereotypes and things like that, and that is a part of hip hop, but that's not all that hip hop is, and it's a complex and nuanced and beautiful genre and culture of music, and they should have taken the opportunity to better acquaint themselves with it as opposed to to rebuffing it. But to kind of, so I can understand and respect why black men have a hesitancy or a distaste for Oprah in there, because of they felt rejected or they felt like judged by her in the past, and Gayle asking this question of Kobe, and Kobe being this like massive living legend.
I don't think it necessarily have to only do with the massive living legend. He literally died a week ago. Mm-hmm. Why is that your question? I mean, I get it.
Me too.
But I also feel like when she was writing down her questions, or if someone gave her those questions, she should have been like, I'm not going to do this. But I'm not going to ask that question unless she believed in it. And then if you believe in it, you don't backtrack from what you believe in.
So to me, that's the part where like I'll say the black feminist or the feminist in me like kind of steps up there, which is, would I have asked that question if I was her? Probably not. But I also, because I'm like, it's very soon, it's people are mourning, people are grieving. It's a difficult conversation to have, and sometimes it's like, you know, it's about time and a place. So, but I also am not a journalist, and as best as I understand in journalism, you have to ask the difficult questions, the uncomfortable questions, and I also know, though, that there is tact and there is taste and there is like what's appropriate, you know, for the time and the place. And I think that's where we are now with revisiting Kobe's legacy and including the dark spot of his career, of his illustrious career. And I don't think that it should. What I ultimately think is this: whatever that moment in time in his life seems to have been a wake-up call for him, seems to have changed him for the better as a husband, as a father. And what I feel as though is that while it was a brief moment in time, and yes, it was a dark moment in his life, that is not that's not the sum of all of his actions, and that we should be more so celebrating his life and his achievements and his accomplishments and his work as a philanthropist, as a father, as a husband. He
tragically died, and if you want to, my thing is, if you wanted to bring it, like, what does bringing it up have to do with anything? We're talking about he just passed away. Like, why didn't we bring it up? Like, sorry.
When he won his Oscar.
No, they did bring it up. When he won his Oscar, people brought up the fact that he had that he had allegations.
Because that's what's going to happen, though. That's what.
So can we do the same thing with everybody else?
We do it with everybody else.
No, we don't. When Robert Downey Jr. dropped his new movie, we didn't say, "Hey, years ago used to be a crackhead."
Well, when he first got slated to be Iron Man, people brought it up. But then over time.
What I'm trying to say is
God forbid, if Robert Downey Jr. died tomorrow, I feel as though they're going to, and I mean, now don't get me wrong, we know that race plays a role in this, but I think that there's going to be someone who also touches on his checkered past and how when he was battling drug addiction.
It's not going to be in the same as they do us. That's what I'm saying. The difference is, how come every time they bring up Woody Allen, they don't talk about the fact that he married his daughter?
People do bring that up. There's people who still choose to work with him.
Okay.
But that's, I definitely see that brought up with Woody Allen, because people will say, because what I thought was, so before Gayle King had this interview, there's an actress, Evan Rachel Wood, I believe. She, like, and this was like the same day as Kobe or the day after or something like that, passing away. And she made a point of talking about his rape allegations. And then somebody replied to her, and they had her pictures with her sitting there chumming with Woody Allen, because he is also someone who has been accused of sexual assault or sexual abuse. And so now, does race play a factor in this? Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. But ultimately, it's a matter of when a person dies, period. But more so sometimes when they die suddenly, people in media are going to revisit, more times than not, are going to revisit all of their life, all of their public life, and what has been out there, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, like I said, I'm speaking from a personal perspective. Like I shed tears several times since this has all happened, because of my humanity, because of my identifying with it as a fan, or as seeing how pained you were as a wife, as a mom. And what happened in 03, 04 tarnish my perception of him? No. But what do I know that was a part of his history? So people revisit all of it. And I think it's a fine line between, like, what's in good taste, what's appropriate for the moment, and and what's with timing and things like that. I think that right now everything is so raw and so painful for folks that nobody wants to hear about something that happened 15, 16 years ago or whatnot. But I know that we live in a world where people want to dredge up everything, good, bad, and ugly. And so, and like you said, so when he won his Oscar, that people brought it back up, because anytime somebody has a moment of success or a moment or another thing that puts them in the
so you got to be perfect in life.
You got to,
period.
because people, but people
you can't. I mean, my issue with
And
it is
people
once you're accused of rape, no matter what, even if you didn't do it, you did it. To me, that's like the worst thing that someone can be accused of.
In a lot of ways, yeah, it can be.
It's like in the new Batman movie when Batman was branding people with his bat so people would kill him. Like, that's literally what we're doing. We're saying, like, once someone says there's an allegation that you've done something, it's over for you, no matter what.
I think that Kobe was
case is
attesting that it
dismissed,
wasn't over for him. I just think
no,
because he didn't. He was.
I think because of the time that it happened, and because social media wasn't out there like that.
Probably,
yes,
yeah, that's definitely.
That's why he was able to bounce back from that situation, grow from that situation, and be a better human because of that situation.
Absolutely, and I think that that's what we should. I do think that that's what should be. What the ultimate highlight is that he.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I think that should be the angle that should be taken when we're looking and revisiting all of Kobe's legacy. That we can't ignore what.
We can't ignore the allegations.
We can't ignore part of his. We can't ignore part of his.
That's not his story.
It's not his story. It's a chapter in a massive book, and so.
There's been so many great people in history that had checkered pasts.
Absolutely. And
thank God they passed away when they did, because if they were in today's time, people would have brought it up. It has nothing to do with the individual.
And that is just the I feel like, unfortunately, that's just the sad reality of the times that we live in now. And so I'm not excusing it. Well, you clearly see that we have a co-host today, but Tatum, you gotta shh. So, I think that ultimately, you have it's the price we pay for the times that we live in today. It's a choice still to whether or not you're going to address it, but I think what I would take from this is that from his storied, legendary life, is that this was a man who had a unique upbringing, who had a passion, who had a work ethic that was unparalleled, had natural God-given talent, was a family man, was a father, who had at least publicly he did have this one dark time where he was, embroiled in a controversy, but then also that based off of whatever the truth of whatever came out of that he made every effort to be a better man after that. So you can mention it, but you
don't have to mention it.
You don't have to mention it, but we live it. But it's the reality of the time that we live in, that people are going to mention the fuck shit that you were involved in. Period.
Okay, so
it's not. I'm not saying it's in good taste. I'm just saying that that's the reality of what it is. But what I will say is that the way that people frame it could be done so in a way that is, if they're going to bring it up.
But my thing is, why even bring it up? My thing, as a black woman who knows how black men are treated, why bring up something that, again, if he was found guilty of it and you wanted to bring it up, okay. But if he was found guilty of it, he did his time, he came back, and he changed the world, we're still going to bring it up. So, like,
because what if that was the catalyst? So, and like, I don't want you to.
I don't
want you to come away
it.
thinking that I think that like because I was uncomfortable listening to the question. I was.
How are you? You said you didn't listen to it. I'm confused.
I watched the snippet. I didn't watch the whole interview. I said.
Why were you uncomfortable listening to the question?
Because I also felt like, what was it like? Because it's not the most imperative piece of information at this point right now. But
no, it wasn't.
But
at all. That's why it had nothing to do with.
I started the conversation saying that I was of two minds.
I get that. So my thing is that, so you feel that way about any and everybody. So anytime somebody, no matter what, you feel that way about, you're always going to have that two-mind frame. Do you feel that way about Dustin Hoffman?
What did Dustin Hoffman do?
He was accused by a woman of sexual harassing her when he was 17. When she was 17, he apologized for his behavior. He's still getting work. Why don't we bring that stuff up?
And I don't know. And my thing is, because of
Kevin Spacey.
Oh, Kevin Spacey was definitely in the news, and he
was in the news,
and that's questionable as fuck because I keep hearing that people in his situation keep dying.
So, do you look at him in two lights? Do you look at him as, well, he's a great actor, but he has this troubled past and people are dying?
I look at it
just asking,
and I'm trying to answer you.
Go
I look at it as if Dustin Hoffman or if Kevin Spacey were to die suddenly tomorrow, that that even though they are these like phenomenal actors or have these like, great bodies of work they've been a part of or whatever, I would also see, and they died tragically and suddenly, that people could be sad about it, but I also could understand that if people brought up their past and the dark times in their past or the things that they were accused of doing, because that's a part of their story, that would I feel the same way? Yes, it's in somewhat poor taste, but also that it's a part of their story. Now, well, I'll say this. I feel like in Kobe's situation too, because he actually went to trial, and in the trial, and I think it was it wasn't a mistrial. It was like
it was dismissed.
It was dismissed or whatever. So he still ultimately had to come to like answer for these things. And I think that the difference is that I would feel like those men should have it brought up even more so than even Kobe does, because they haven't had to answer for any of the things that they were accused of doing to an extent. Kevin Spacey kind of, but there's like a lot of what little I've heard is like there's a lot of drama and suspicion surrounding his stuff going on. But my thing is, and that is I think why sometimes people are upset, because it was like, yes, and this is where I feel like race comes into play, because Kobe Bryant had to whatever degree you want to look at it, had to answer for the things that he was accused of, and then it was dismissed. So it's like, okay, now we're gonna move on. But ultimately, what I'm saying is that it's a tricky tightrope that we walk in today's society, because people have access to anything that's been published about you nowadays, and they can look and dig in the crates and find stuff on you, or when you suddenly pass away, then you can.
It's all about the clickbait.
That too, and then you can all, but then people can revisit all of that stuff, and so I think that ultimately, if personally, would I have asked the question? Probably not, but that's not who I am. But I'm also not a journalist. But
so if you were a journalist and somebody said you had to ask that tough question, you're gonna ask it, even if it's against what you believe in.
I don't know. I may have pushed back. I may have pushed back.
I'm not selling my soul. I'm not selling my soul. If like I'm not gonna ask something that I don't believe in.
Okay, and you
ultimately, fuck Gayle, fuck Oprah.
That's how you feel.
100%.
I don't feel.
They don't care about black people.
I don't feel like fuck Oprah
unless you are a part of their 1% and you're with them. The reason why I say fuck Oprah is because she doesn't have a TV show no more, but she's doing interviews and crying like a white woman about, oh, she's so sad that Gayle's getting death threats and she has to walk around with security and she's victimized. She's the victim now. Fuck Oprah.
You should not be getting death threats for. She doesn't deserve death threats, babe.
Okay.
She doesn't.
Well, in this new time,
you could say I don't support her. I don't.
In this new time, when you're clickbaiting those who feel death threats happen. Death threats happen to people who talk bad about Nicki Minaj.
And that's wrong.
Well, listen.
It's wrong.
We live in this new world where you can attack people, and when you attack people, there's other people out there who don't care.
Everyone is entitled to feel how they. This is what I'll leave it with. Everyone is entitled to have their opinion on the appropriateness, the necessity of bringing up Kobe Bryant's sexual assault allegations. Now, in the wake of his death, everybody has the right to feel about whether or not it should be a part of the conversation. What it should be a part of the conversation and shouldn't be a part of the conversation. People are entitled. People are entitled to feel how they feel. Now, what it shouldn't be, though, what I feel as though what it should not be is that should not be the focus of.
But why? Why bring it up? It's going to be the focus. That's the issue. Why bring it up? It has nothing to do with anything, unless you were talking about rape and then you wanted to bring it up. Okay, then it makes sense. But why the fuck? You're interviewing Lisa Leslie and you're bringing it up. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's just like, if I'm interviewing somebody, why? I at least when I do my interviews and stuff like that, I'm not going to ask questions to try to figure certain things out. Like, I'm not fishing to try to find the hot topic, or I'm not going to ask for something that I truly just do not believe in. And to me, it's just, when I found out it was Gayle, I was like, it makes sense.
Okay. I think when you and I asked, we aren't journalists, right? So we are not journalists. So
we're not journalists in the sense that we're not paid for it, but we
interview people.
In order to give ask questions
to give them a platform to discuss the things that they want to discuss and to share information about the things that they feel comfortable sharing about. The one thing that me and you ask, or I ask before we have anybody on this show, is that are there any things that you want to make sure that we absolutely touch on or that we absolutely stay away from?
A person who writes the newspaper, magazines, or news websites or prepares news to be broadcast. We're preparing something to be broadcast.
Yes, we're not journalists.
Okay, well, we have a right to make sure that when we are interviewing people or when we talking to people, we have to be responsible in what we say.
We do have to be responsible in what we say, but what I'm saying though is that it's always been my understanding is that journalists sometimes are the ones who have to, and again, I'm talking about in general. I'm not just speaking about the situation. Have to ask questions that are difficult ones to answer because people because they're going to ask the questions that people might be lingering on people's minds that otherwise would not have an opportunity to ask those.
So why didn't they do that when he was alive? When Kobe Bryant was alive, he won his Oscar a year ago, 2 years ago?
A year ago.
So you had time to interview Kobe Bryant.
Absolutely. But
you could have been interviewing Kobe Bryant about his Oscar and then throw that question in there.
And in death, people are going to then try to bring up everything. People are going to try, and I am not saying that it was necessary. I am not saying that it was something that I would have done. All I am saying, I started the conversation by saying is that I'm of two minds about it, which is like I can understand and 100% see why it's in poor taste and it's unnecessary. I can see why I could try, and I'm trying to see it from her perspective of where she felt like she had to ask the question.
She doesn't have to ask the question. She's a fucking millionaire who best friend is a fucking billionaire. She doesn't have to ask the question. She's asking it for what? What is she trying to accomplish in her life that she hasn't accomplished already? Mm-hmm. So again, it's not like she needs the money. It's not like she needs whatever. So what are you trying to prove?
I think
other than trying to tear down a black man, and I praise Lisa Leslie. I think she handled that fucking amazing. Mm-hmm. Fucking amazing. Okay. Gayle King was just, to me, it was just, it was trash. It was poor timing and everything else. Because
people are still hurting, and everybody, I think the thing is, like, everybody's still hurting, and therefore, everybody's still hurting, and I think that what I feel like is this. Everybody has a right to be upset with her for what she said, for the question that she asked, if they feel upset about it, right? The only thing I'm saying is that
no death threats. I get it.
Oh, well, don't be dismissive of me because I'm telling you, like, because that is
I know,
wrong.
You said it already.
That's because it's wrong.
Death threats are wrong. I don't take that away from the situation, but I do feel like the question did need to be asked. The question did need to be asked because what did that have to... again, maybe I need to listen to the whole interview. I think my biggest thing is that I'm just tired, and it's bigger than Kobe. I'm just tired of our black celebrities with these amazing platforms feel the need to support and to support in the taking down of our black figures. Mm-hmm. And they have white counterparts that they don't attack. Where's Oprah Winfrey's Harvey Weinstein documentary?
I know a lot of people have asked that question.
They're best friends. They got pictures where they're hugging and all that stuff.
Okay.
Oh, all right. What I'm trying to say is that
I just saw a bunch of pictures of like 50 Cent with
who?
Harvey Weinstein and with Snoop Dogg with Donald Trump, and so it's like people like celebrity that one thing. I have a similar question of like, okay, well,
so let me ask you that question. Oprah Winfrey, who number do you think that she has? Do you think she has Harvey Weinstein number?
She probably does.
Do you think that she has another black person who's no?
Probably.
I feel like Oprah is only pandering to the one percenters.
Okay.
That's just my thing.
Okay.
Oprah Winfrey show may have started when, you know, this poor black girl and all this other stuff. When she made it, she dropped the Winfrey. She just became Oprah. She became this whatever, this whomever she is. Yeah. Ultimately, I just feel, and I keep on saying it, but it's just frustrating that we have to worry about that, and it just always seems like it's our own who's willing to attack ourselves. Always. I
agree in the sense that, like, sometimes it can feel very, like, counterproductive by us, like, with like calling people out or like, you know, because like we said, you and I both agree that, like, race definitely plays a role as far as, like, what parts of people's lives are brought up or what things are dredged back up, especially in the wake of somebody's untimely passing. But I think ultimately I'll end it by saying we do ourselves a disservice by, you know, not trying to uplift each other, but we do need to acknowledge each other's histories, but we need to do so in a way that is tasteful and that is respectful and that is appropriate. And I'm not saying that I don't know if that was appropriate, and for the timing of everything, and we're still mourning and we're still grieving, and it's not the sum of who Kobe Bryant was by any stretch. And does the energy? And if that's the case, then the energy needs to be kept the same for all people.
It just shows and that no matter what,
and then I also say though is that
you can't.
That is also the case of, like, you still have these women who do not. If you can disagree and disavow them and say I would never support them because they don't support black men or they don't support black people as a whole and all that stuff like that. But then at the same time, like, you do not need to, like, lump in people who are proven, like, sexual predators like Bill Cosby. You don't need to be
I wouldn't have necessarily brought in Bill Cosby.
You don't need to give death threats. You don't need to call them all types of, like, fuck ass whores and bitches and stuff like that.
I mean, why not? If you can ask a question because that's how you feel, why can't I say why can't I attack you because that's how I feel?
I mean, you can attack what somebody said, and you can say I don't fuck with you. You can say I don't support you, or whatever. But you don't always have to, like. Okay, even if I give you that, even if you call somebody a name or whatever, but, like, like, death threats and stuff, like, people, like, is doing entirely too much, and that's more than anything. I don't even feel like that's what Kobe would have wanted. I feel like he, if anything, was a testament to rising above, right? So to elevating. He embraced it. Every time something was thrown his way, every time somebody tried to drag him through the mud, he leveled up.
That's why. That's why he created the Black Mamba.
Okay, so therefore, and so my thing is, like, for these people out here who are doing that small faction of people who are that upset that they feel like they have to do that, you're not even honoring the person that you're trying to defend. You're not.
All right, I guess.
You can say fuck. You can say fuck them as far as in the sense of, like,
I mean, the death threats is a lot.
It is.
I'm not.
And so that's all I'm saying with that.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I just, like I said, I would honestly I would respect Gayle more if she would have stuck to her guns.
But that brings me back to the part about women being socialized to have to apologize for when they upset other people, even if they felt like they were doing the right thing in the moment, because and you're looking at me with confusion, but, like,
because I don't think that all women do that.
All women don't do that, but I'm telling you that we live in a culture that socializes women to be apologetic. Like, so one thing, so, like, let me just as to digress a little bit. So one thing, as I've gotten older in my professional career, that I realized that I do that, like, my male counterparts wouldn't do. When I send an email, right, I would start my emails with, like, you know, sorry to bother you, or
you shouldn't,
or you know, I just wanted to take a moment, or to touch base and check in with you, as opposed to just getting straight to whatever it is I needed.
But I also feel like that's just who you are.
But
you would do that with anybody. I don't think that's a gender specific.
It kind of is.
Okay.
It kind of is, because
you've never said to me, "I'm sorry to bother you, TJ. Can I talk to you for?" You've never. You mean just in professional?
My professional interactions.
Okay.
So
Well, you should stop
huh?
You should stop that.
Well, that is something I make a concerted effort to do. Sometimes I have to catch myself, and I have sometimes done that with you. Sometimes in our text communications, but like as far as like I will ask for a lot more. Like, you know, I'll like, you know, if this doesn't like throw off your day, or if it's not too much, can you please do this, that, and the other, as opposed to just asking you what it is. And so I use a little bit more flowery language.
That's a little bit different.
Where you'll be like, I need you to, and then you tell me what you need me to do.
Yeah, but in the professional world, we're all professionals.
But that's not the reality for women.
Okay, I understand that.
Because
I truly understand.
If you and I worked in the same job and I asked something the same way you asked something, I would be treated like I was being abrasive or aggressive or a bitch or something like that. Okay. Like, honestly, I was reading an article just the other day, and a woman, a man and a woman, they worked for a small business. They were the man was the woman's manager, and the feedback he kept getting from his supervisor was that she takes too long with their clients. Like, she needs to move faster. And one day they have like a shared inbox, and he was responding to a client, and the client was asking him like 1,000,001 pushback, like quick questions, pushing back, was like questioning the validity of his answers. And this was something that this man said he could do in his sleep. Like, he knew what he was talking about. And it wasn't until he was about 3-4 emails in did he realize that the handle at the bottom of the email was his employee's name, which was a woman. I think it was like Nicole or something like that. Mm-hmm. So then when he jumped in and he started replying and said, hey, this is Mark. Like, this is Mark. I'm stepping in and I'm taking over for Nicole. Like, with this, even though he was the same person.
I got you.
He gave the same advice. He gave the same recommendations, and then immediately it was okay. And he said what he realized was that his employee was taking twice as long to get through a project with the client because she had to spend extra time getting them to convincing the client to trust her. I don't want to negate that.
Okay. I don't want to negate what women have to go through in the workplace.
Yeah.
But I would like to raise my daughter that die on the sword. If you have to be... Actually, that's so tough for me. Because I get it. You got to be aggressive, but you also got to play the game.
Mm-hmm. It's not easy.
That's tough.
Because you that's the thing. Because if we teach Tatum to just go in there guns blazing like a man would or whatever, yeah, she might be...
I'll tell her to do it tactfully there. No.
But she also might get shut out of a lot of places.
Okay, so I'll work on that as we get to that age. But I am going to teach my daughter to be a strong person.
Of course.
And that means say how you feel and mean how you say it, and don't apologize for anything if you meant it. And I don't care. Like, I will fight that battle with my daughter. We'll fight that battle together.
I think that if she believes in what she said, that she should stand by her word. I think that though she should understand that sometimes, even if she believes what she says and she still believes,
if she doesn't want to apologize,
if it hurts or impacts other people, she can acknowledge other people's pain.
If she doesn't want to apologize, I'm never going to make her apologize. If my daughter felt something in her heart, no matter how good, bad, or indifferent, I'm not going to make her do something that she does not want to do.
So if
she said a joke and 3 of her classmates felt bad about it, but she didn't feel like, well, that's their problem or whatever, I'm going to ride with my daughter. I'm not going to make her have to apologize just because somebody else felt offended.
I feel like that's too sweeping. It's a nuanced situation.
I mean, I'm saying that's how I feel right now.
Because if that's the case, then like a lot of times we say things that we mean, but we don't mean to hurt the person that we're saying it to in the process. So you can you can still mean what you say, but apologize for hurting someone's feeling. Like, there's nothing weak in acknowledging that you caused somebody else pain.
I'm not saying that it's weak. I never said that it makes you weak. But I'm saying that, to me, being weak is people saying you need to apologize, so you apologize. That's weak.
So if you tell Tatum she needs to apologize and she doesn't think she needs to apologize, then what?
I tell her she needs to apologize and she feels like that she doesn't need to apologize.
Then that's it. It's the end of the conversation.
I'm not. No, it probably wouldn't be the end of the conversation. But I'm not gonna make her have. If she's gonna die on that sword, I'm going to allow her to die on that sword.
So then, what happens if? So then, like, I know we're kind of venturing into a different conversation, but then what happens if she, like, now I'm putting on like my teacher hat, right? So like, if something happens in class and she says something that is, even if it's true, if it's hurtful to, like, she's in 3rd grade and she says something that's hurtful to her classmate.
Like what? I need an example.
Okay. So I had a student this week who had an accident, whatever. She like chipped her front tooth or whatever, and another person, like, in just in honesty, but like in sincerity, was like, oh, I have another student with a chipped tooth, and he was like, oh, you look like so and so now, and so now it wasn't done to be mean. It was the truth. She does have the same chipped tooth.
I would not make her apologize for that.
So even if that hurt that person's feelings,
I'm not making her apologize for that. I won't. And maybe again,
so she made somebody else feel insecure about something that just happened.
That's something that their parents need to fix their child with.
No,
that's not my problem.
That's a problem to me, because it's not about. I'm not going to tell Tatum not to like stand in her truth or whatever. But if she unintentionally hurts another child's feelings or hurts someone's feeling as an adult or whatever, there's no weakness or anything wrong in acknowledging that, even if she meant what she said, that I apologize for.
But if she doesn't want to apologize, you're going to make her apologize. If she felt in her heart of heart, I did nothing wrong,
I'm going to explain to her that sometimes, even if you feel like you did nothing wrong, that you can still sometimes hurt others, and there's nothing wrong with apologizing for hurting the feelings of someone else, even if you feel like you did not do anything wrong.
Okay.
If your goal was to hurt a person, see, that's the thing. If your goal and what you're saying is to hurt another person's feelings, and you succeed in doing that, then yeah, well, then I guess you wouldn't have to apologize. But if you are saying something,
if that wasn't my intentions, but I don't feel like I need to apologize to you because that wasn't in my intentions, I don't think that you have to apologize. That wasn't my intentions. That's how you interpret it. I'm not apologizing because I don't feel like I need to apologize. Because I told you that was not my intentions.
So, just to go back to the example that I gave, right?
Yes.
A classmate jacks up their teeth. Tatum says, oh, your teeth look like so-and-so's jacked up teeth now. That person is upset because they're insecure. Their feelings are hurt. This is... Oh.
So let me ask you a question.
So, no, let me ask you. Let me finish my question.
No,
I'm giving you the scenario. So my thing is,
in that scenario,
what does she say to that person when they say, like, if they start crying, they bust out crying because now they're insecure or they're upset because of what Tatum said? That's their problem.
If Tatum wanted to apologize, she will apologize. But if she does not feel like she does not want to apologize, she shouldn't. So what happens? What would your principal do in that situation?
If what?
In that situation, will he suspend that kid who made that comment?
No.
Why?
Because it's not a suspendable offense. It's not. It's.
Is the principal going to tell that student that student needs to apologize to the other student?
I would tell that student that.
I didn't ask you. You're a teacher. I'm asking the principal.
He would probably say, like, that would be something that you would want to apologize for.
You would want to apologize. And what if that student says no? I don't want to. What is that principal going to do?
I mean, you can't make someone apologize for something, but at the same time, as the adults, as the adult figures in a person's life, as a village that is a child's life, you explain it. That's the reason why I'm getting frustrated with you is because that's the problem with a lot of fucking parents right now. It's because they go and they make their kids think that they're not beholden to fucking anybody, and then that's why they don't. That's where it starts. That's not where it starts.
Okay. That's not where it starts.
What do I know? I'm just a teacher.
You are just a teacher. But that's not...
Okay.
But I'm not taking that away from you. I'm not saying that... So you're saying that me saying that for Tatum in one situation, now she's going to be like... Because
kids take that shit and they make it... They apply it to everything. So then they're saying, well, my father said, I don't got to apologize if I don't think I did anything wrong. I didn't think I did anything wrong, so I'm not saying sorry. When you just call somebody a fucking whore in the middle of the cafeteria.
Okay, that's different.
No,
that's totally... We're talking about two different things.
But that is the mentality that the kids take.
Okay.
That is the approach that the kids take. So even if as a parent... You have to
if my child was
nuanced about it.
If my child was taking me saying, if you felt like you didn't need to apologize for something, you don't have to, and they make it,
you're leaving the determination up to the child.
I'm leaving the determination in certain situations. Yes,
but my thing is this: if you equip Tatum with that mindset when she leaves the house,
we're talking about two different situations, though. You said your student said, "Oh, you chipped." You and what's the name are alike, or y'all both have chipped teeth. Now this person feels insecure. And then in the next statement you said, you're a fat bitch. That's two different things.
And what I'm telling you is just the teacher, is that when you equip your students, when you equip your child with that mentality, that if you feel like you don't have to apologize for something because you meant what you said, or if you don't feel like you should apologize for it to not apologize, then they are going to take that and they're going to apply it to both situations.
Okay.
That's what I'm telling you.
All right.
From
my if that happens, then I will readjust. So it's a
nuanced approach, and that's why you have to explain to children you have to explain to a child that it varies from situation to situation, and you do have to clarify that, because kids will take what somebody says about, and I'll say this: I don't think that parents are always saying it just because they want their children to be these, like, you know, they think that their child is above all or whatever. They're trying to raise
clean it up now. No, they're raising these little hell demons.
That's not what I said. What I'm saying though is that my issue was with parents who instill it in the child and don't take the time to clarify how it varies from situation to situation.
So would I not clarify?
I think you would, but what I'm telling you... But
so we're talking about TJ and Dani. We're not talking about what other kids do. We're talking about Tatum.
But what you
so you're
saying,
putting you're putting your feelings and what happens to you at work to me, and that has nothing to do.
But you're saying that you don't. So, but you said in the situation where you said in the situation. So
I said in the situation where she did not mean to offend somebody, but someone felt offended.
You can't apologize for offending someone.
I did not say that you can't. I said that she did not feel like apologizing because she felt like in her heart of hearts she did nothing wrong. I am not going to make her apologize. If she called someone out of their name, if she went to someone and she targeted them, yes, that's different. That's totally different. So if Tatum was walking down the hall and she was singing a rap song, or she was saying "fuck LeBron," let's just say, and somebody got offended by that, she needs to apologize. That's what you're saying.
No.
That is what you're saying. You're saying that whenever somebody feels offended, she has to apologize.
No, what I said was that it's.
Go ahead.
What I'm saying though is that there's nothing wrong with apologizing when someone is offended. Is it nuanced?
I never said that either.
I used that. I said it was nuanced. It's a one approach. It's from situation to situation. But when you started the conversation, and you said that if she doesn't feel like she has to apologize, I'm not making her apologize.
Okay.
And I said to him, like, that's a problem.
Let me reshape it so that because I have to be extremely lyrical. I have to be like extremely detailed.
Yeah.
On a case by case basis. Mm-hmm. So case by case, meaning like
I know
one
what that
case
means.
will be different than another case.
You don't have to be.
If Tatum said something, not intentionally to hurt somebody, but someone felt hurt, but Tatum did not feel like she needs to apologize, I will not make her apologize. Now, if Tatum decides to attack somebody, or she strategically plans, like, all right, I'm gonna say this joke because I know it's gonna get me laughs or whatever, and somebody's hurt, that's different. So, does that clarify better for you or no?
Yeah, it still leaves me with a question, but
go ahead. Ask your question.
In the first scenario, where you're talking about her saying something that there was no malice behind it, right? That's the first scenario that we're talking about. There's no malice behind it.
Yes.
But somebody is left with their feelings hurt. Now, I know that it's case by case. So, but if she said something about a person with no malice behind it, right?
Yes.
But that person was left offended.
Yes.
Even if she meant what she said, you feel like she does not have to apologize.
If she does not want to, yes. If Tatum little heart says, I apologize, I didn't mean to offend you, there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is that I'm not going to make her apologize for what she believes in. If she felt in her heart of heart that I was not trying to hurt you, I'm not going to apologize.
So if you witness it and she feels that way, and you yourself would have been like, I would have apologized for that, would you make her do it? I mean, like, as the adult.
I understand what you're saying.
Like, if you watched her do what she did, you see the other kids start crying, you know that Tatum didn't necessarily mean to.
I would pull her, if I felt I would pull her to the side and I would be like, actually, I would see what happens. And then if not, we can have a conversation about it. And I would say, you hurt that kid's feeling, and I felt like you should apologize. You didn't. And then I would probe more to understand. And then if we had a conversation and she's like, Dad, it wasn't my intentions, but I don't feel like I need to apologize because it wasn't my intentions, I'm not going to be like, well, that person was hurt, so you need to apologize. I'm not gonna negate her feelings for somebody else's feelings.
I understand that, and I think what we can end it on is that
we can agree to disagree.
And I think it's nuanced. It's situation to situation.
But that's what I said.
But that's not what you started saying. That's not what you started to say. You said you made a blanket statement.
I made a blanket statement based off of...
And I told you from my professional experience that those blanket statements is where kids come into school thinking that they are not beholden to anyone. That if they do not care, if they feel like if they feel like that they were not wrong, or if they feel like that they didn't do anything. Yeah, if they feel like they're not wrong, or they feel like they don't need to apologize, then they're not going to apologize, even though somebody is trying to. Where I spend the time trying to explain to them what words mean things, right? And how those things can be interpreted differently. And even if you didn't intend on hurting somebody, from varying from situation to situation, you can apologize or you can acknowledge it. Like, you know what? I
didn't say that you can't apologize.
Yeah, now you did. In the beginning, you did not.
Okay.
But again, we can agree to disagree.
We can.
Because I am going to tell Tatum that it is a nuanced situation, and you do have to address each situation individually, but that there is nothing weak in apologizing for hurting others, even if you did not mean to do so.
And I never said that made you weak. This all stems from someone interviewing, having a question that people attacked her for, and now she backtracks. So what I'm saying is that I'm just a person that you got to live and die by what you say. Otherwise, don't ask those questions. So that's the difference. So yes, with my child, with myself, if I did not feel like I did something wrong, I'm not going to apologize unless I want to apologize. And that's the difference. I don't think we live in this so soft world that if you say, I hate blue, the person who loves blue is offended, and now you got to apologize to him. And you would make Tatum apologize to him.
I would not.
You would.
I would.
You would. I can see it now.
I would not.
Tatum could be like, brown's such an ugly color, and little girl's gonna be like, oh my god, brown's my favorite color, she's talking about me, and then you're gonna be like, Tatum, you need to apologize to her because she's offended.
I would never do that.
Okay. I don't believe that, but we'll see.
I believe that you could take it with a nuanced approach, but you don't believe I can. Wow. Okay.
You literally stated that I'm like the other parents because of whatever, because I have to speak in specifics with you. So I have to say,
yeah, because it's not a cut and dry thing.
You're right. All right.
You start.
I'm still learning. I'm still learning. So I got to be specific about everything.
It is a case by case. When you started saying case by case and we said it's nuanced, then yeah, you and I started to have the same conversation. But what you originally said was a very broad statement, and what I was saying to you was that broad statement is a problem.
Okay. I will be sure to be more specific with anything that I think or feel or believe in.
Yeah, be intentional with your words.
Yeah.
Because when you make broad sweeping statements, then you have to come back around and clarify your broad sweeping statements.
Yeah.
So be intentional about what the hell you're saying.
You would want me to apologize, but I'm not. I don't feel sorry for that. So
I don't want you to apologize.
I said what I said. I felt how I felt, and I know what I meant.
But you did amend your statement, so you clarified what you said. You don't owe me
I explained more on my statement.
Yeah, and clarification is necessary for people to have for context and for understanding.
Okay.
That's why communication is so key and crucial, because you need to be clear about what it is that you're saying. And if there is nuance to what you're saying, then you need to address the nuance of it. And you can't make broad sweeping statements, because then it's going to be interpreted as a broad sweeping statement, and then you're going to get the energy that you get and the response that you get.
You're right.
Well,
don't make broad statements, y'all.
Don't
be accused of rape. Don't live life, because people will throw it back at you. And on that
was, oh my goodness, passive aggressive much. But we're going to wrap up this week's episode. And it was impassioned, and it was interesting, and it was heartfelt. And as always, we appreciate you listening in and riding this wave with us. And you know that, as always, if you want to give us feedback, questions, comments, concerns about anything we've discussed on this week's episode, feel free to hit us up on Instagram at Lovers Quarrel Show, on Twitter at Lovers Quarrel 7, or email us at loversquarrelshow@gmail.com. But yeah, this has been yet another episode of Lovers Quarrel. And as always, I am your girl, Dani.
And I'm your guy, Tisha.
And you know that we fuss.
We fight, but we love.
Bye.